Prestige Media Group.
What's up, world? My name is Joshua Taylor, aka JTronius, aka Governor of the Galaxy. I'm your man on the New Hustle Report, you dig? Right now, we where the dream began. You know what I'm saying? Sherman, Texas, right in the heart of downtown Sherman. And music chose me, you know. I didn't choose music, music chose me. And this is basically where I fell in love with music from the jump. You know what I'm saying? My father is a singer. My mother played the flute back in the day. Both my parents deeply in love with all different types of music. So, you know, I was surrounded by it. My mother telling me that she remembers the first time that I busted out singing. I couldn't even really say, you know, I couldn't talk words. I couldn't sing regular words, but I was going to, Diana Ross's on the radio. And she just remembered me being like, oh, on the radio, just me doing the O's, you know what I'm saying?
Really, nigga? Oh my God!
That was the beginning of it all. You know what I'm saying? Fast forward, as I got a little older, you know, I really was glued into the whole 90s music scene. You know, caught the end of the 80s, was really loving the 80s, but 90s was my special moment, like where I fell deep in love with music. And, you know, Boys to Men, Jodeci, BBD, so forth and so on. And around the time of Dillingham, you know, of course, Sherman is big on sports. And of course, you know, I'm a big man, 6'6", you know what I'm saying? I was always taller than everybody, so everybody really wanted to see me play football. And I was really good. And but in the back of my mind, I always knew that music was my deeper passion. Even back then, I remember I started up a group. Well, even before then, I started writing songs. BBD had came out, and I remember I started at home, you know, jotting down song ideas. Always singing in my house, you know what I'm saying? Watching BET, like all I wanted to do was watch BET. You know, watch music videos all day. My partners be like, man, that's all you want to do. I was just so entranced by it. I had to study every angle of it, even back then. And then around, the time of Piner, it started getting out a little bit more that, you know, behind closed doors, I was singing and trying to start a group. And three of my partners, me, Donald Moten, my partner Michael Riddick, we formed a group, and I named it Flow. Now, while this is going on, let you know, my classmate, Joanne Parker at the time, he already had started his little rap career. You know, we grew up in the boys club together. And, you know, Joanne at that point in time was already doing shows. We were young. He was doing shows. He was going out of state, you know, recording his album. I was like, man, he could do it. And then I'm looking at everybody on TV. I was like, that's what I'm going to do too. So I messed around and put this group together, and then I named it Flow. And I actually wrote our first song back then called Flow Is in the House. I still remember it now, man. I can sing it to you, but I ain't gonna take y'all through that. It's real 90s, you know, New Jack Swing sounding. And that was my first song that I really wrote for my group. And I wanted to practice every day, but these boys was in love with football and just in love with the scene, you know, being young and being popular and all that, man. But even then, dog, I was just a mad scientist. Like, all I could think about day in, day out was making music and making it a reality, making it my full reality. And word had got caught that we were just, on our spare time, we was, singing a cappella, like in the hallways or like in the bathrooms or even at our cribs, outside of school. And it caught wind because we all were in the choir too. So our teacher, Miss Morrison at the time, had heard about us doing this. And we were in class one day, she made us sing in front of the class. And the song that we chose at that time was Shy's If I Ever Fall in Love. And so we got up in front of the class, sang in front of everybody in class, and everybody went crazy. It was a crazy feeling, man. And then she gave us an opportunity to sing at a meeting in an auditorium. We had a little, whatever you call it, we had a little meeting in there, a little concert in there, and she let us go ahead and sing. And we got up on stage, and even back then I was always a dude that could hit them high notes. And we went up there. I remember I had the purple Fila shirt on. We had, the fades and all that straight 90s cross colors, and we got up there and we bust out that song. And from the moment we started singing, the whole junior high just went nuts. And I just remember that next day after we did that, my life had changed. I was still kind of shy back then or whatever. All of a sudden, I'm coming into school and girls want to hold my hand and walk through the hallway with me. My partner's dapping me up like, dog, you that dude. And I knew at that moment, I believe I was 13 or 14 years old, I knew that that's what I wanted to do the rest of my life. I was like, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to all rock and roll. Fast forward, I ended up leaving Sherman early. I grew up out here, man. And I ended up leaving for high school. I ended up going to this private school ran by Benedictine monks in Arkansas called Subiaco Academy. And out there I pursued sports and music as well. My freshman year, where we crossed, sports and music were always kind of battling because everybody else, when they saw me and my physical stature and my athleticism, were always having these dreams of me playing pro sports and college sports. And even in my freshman year of high school, they put me in the Arkansas football magazine. I was 6'4", 295, fast on my feet. And I had a lot of colleges interested in me even at that point. And but I had came back, I had an epiphany. I came back home for the summer. It's kind of like going to college. And so I come home for the summers, kicking with my people here in Sherman. But then I realized even then, I was like, that's all well and good that they got these, these football dreams for me, but I can't, I'm haunted by this music. It took me over. So I kept doing, I literally came back. I had a whole game plan in my head for the future. One of my coaches, which now actually coaches for the Seattle Seahawks, he hit me, he got in the classroom. I spoke to him before he went into class and told him, hey man, I'm not gonna play football no more. I just want to focus on my music. I'm 14 years old. I ain't never been in no studio. I ain't never done no big shows. But I'm like, I'm going to focus on this. So what I'm going to do, I like the way the basketball players, I like their build. So I'm just going to go stick to basketball, get slender, get graceful. So when I get on stage, I look fly for the honeys type thing. You know what I'm saying? So that was my whole mentality. And that really was my game plan. And I told him, he just kind of looked at me. He's like, all right, it's your choice, son. But then we both went into the classroom in front of everybody. I'll never forget this. And he was like, you never know what life brings you. All summer long, I've been getting calls about this kid, this big kid. I've been getting calls from different colleges and blah, blah, blah. But he decides that he doesn't want to do it. Was saying this in front of all my peers. And I'm just looking at him like, I knew, man. Sometimes when God puts something in you and it takes you over, you just, even back then I knew, bro. So I just kind of took it in. And that's what I did. I ended up floating around Arkansas. We got into a little old school barbershop quartet. And I helped name that one too. I was always a visionary with it. So we called this one Basic Elements. Was a barbershop quartet. I started, literally, my music teacher there, Miss Aiken, God bless her. She started taking us around Arkansas all those years I was in high school, from the state fair to literally people's backyards. Like, we sang anywhere that we could, pageants, so I really got accustomed to the stage, and we were doing a lot of like harmonies and stuff. So that's kind of like the humble beginnings of where my music began. And then right there towards the end of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't see myself going to college. I literally, like, even to this day, it's just like music. The moment I get up, music, I'm a nut, man. And I was just like, man, all I know is I just want to do my music. I don't know where to go to school. I did really well. I was like the student body president, had a lot of accolades, was getting awards, but I didn't know what my next move was. And I never forget there was, a lot of musicians, a lot of blues musicians call it a crossroads. And my crossroads was, I was lost. And then I remember a monk coming up to me. He was the director of music on our campus at that time. And he was like saying, I had a dream that you were lost in the woods and you didn't know where you were going. So I came in the woods and I helped you come out. And he basically offered me, he was like, if you want to stick around, you don't have to feel pressured to go anywhere. If you want to stay here, basically learn the art of being a monk and learning what he knows about music, I'm more than welcome to stay after I graduate. And I was very deep into my religion, into my faith at that time. So I was like, man, is that God calling me? But in the back of my mind, the rock and roll side of me, this is my response. I told the dude, I was like, say, man, I really thank you for that, but I like women too much. And so that was my answer. And I was conflicted with that for years. I thought I was going to hell for saying that and whatnot. But even in the back of my mind, and he literally looked at me, he's like, man, one day I'm gonna see you in this purple suit coming back here. So he saw the rock and roll in me then too. The monk saw it, even though I got asked to be a monk, man, it's deep. So finally I realized, like, just randomly, there was just one school that really opened my mind to even entertaining in it. It was like I had a brochure for Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. I'd never even heard of this place ever. And I just saw that it was like not just a music school, because most music schools are very, very heavy on the jazz side, which I had no experience in, and very heavy on the classical side, which I didn't have like hardly any experience either. I was raw talent, maybe going to school choirs and stuff. So I was like, but they told me that, that Berklee wasn't just jazz, it was contemporary music. So you could take classes in all different styles of music and different avenues of music that I had never been hip to. So that's literally, with all these college scholarships on the line with sports, all my academics being all well and good, I didn't pay attention to none of that. Only applied to Berklee, and I got accepted. So that was the next chapter, but this is the beginnings of it all. And look, fast forward. Right now, y'all see that I'm in the Jazz Museum. I'm not just in the Jazz Museum. I'm in the trumpet room of the Sherman Jazz Museum. Full circle, man. The universe works in full circles, remember that. And the story of Joshua is God told him to play the trumpets before he attacks. So at the end of the day, God told Joshua to have his trumpet players go around the walls of the town and blast their horns and everybody sing at the top of their lungs before he attacks, and that'll make sure that the walls will fall. You think about the science of that. My name's Joshua Sherman. I'm in the trumpet room, and I shall continue to play the music, and the walls will fall.
Love will smoke everywhere. When I'm down and days, I'll ride around and dance. May I never hate. Double cups in the air. When I'm down and days, Space City.
Over everything.